it's obvious that higher education in America has to change. You cannot pick up a newspaper without hearing things from the public, without seeing, doom and gloom, right? There's all kinds of scary things. Higher education absolutely has to change. There are millions of people who've thought they went to college, and the only thing they walked out with was a student loan. We have to do a better job making it so that when a student comes into our institution, we see that as a promise that they're going to graduate, that we're going to do everything we can to make it likely for them to graduate with a degree that's going to be able to enable them to change their family's life. And that means we have to change. Old ways of doing things are not going to work anymore. Look to your left, look to your right did not ever work, but in particular, this idea that a student who doesn't perform, that we just let them figure it out, or they will wash out because maybe they weren't good enough, or that we need better students, that is unacceptable for the future. The future of our democracy, the future economic competitiveness of our country demands that higher education deliver on the promise. The promise that is the reason why all of you have given your lives to work in higher ed. You'd go work somewhere else and make money. You work in higher ed because it changed your life. It changed my life, and I want to pay it forward. You work in higher ed because somehow this magical institution changed your life, and you want to afford that opportunity for others. We're all in it for the same reasons. And so today, I think, is the perfect example of the kind of work that we should be doing, and I feel like the UIA was made for this moment. So we talked yesterday briefly about how higher ed was never designed around students. It was originally designed around the faculty, and frankly, these days, it's really designed at best in response to the new millions of requests we're getting. We never get time to work on our work. We never get time to work on how our work affects students. We don't get a chance to just observe their behavior and see how our systems should be to set them up for success. But that is not true today. So yes, it was never designed around students, except there is one place in higher ed that was designed around students. And it's a place that we often make side little quips about, oh, I wish we could do that for every student, right? It's athletics. There is a place that we know if we really cared and if the stakes were high and if we had resources, that's how we would treat a student. And so that's why this project, Academic Recovery, is so groundbreaking. Everything we do, we aim to be 5 to 7 years out ahead of the field. And if we do it right, then we can actually lead the field forward down the path it needs to move for the future of our country. And so this project is literally that a group of 12 institutions, and whether you're in the project technically or not, you should be on the edge of your seat, because this is going to be amazing work that is going to require that we have all eyes on it, because we don't know how to do it perfectly yet. We're going to need to pitch and catch. We're going to need to be able to look at it from the outside. I think that the people who aren't in the first group of adopters, it's going to be essential that what you do as a result of what you see from that front row, you're going to probably join in, but you're going to have the benefit of a year or two of watching before you do, right? And so we always know that, frankly, it's going to be a little easier for you, and hopefully you'll be able to do it even better, right? But even if you don't think this is technically in your purview, this is the kind of work that is what the future of higher ed needs. So you're going to take 12 institutions. This is generously supported by Ascendium Foundation, $3.5 million from them and the DeLuca Foundation. And what we're going to do is each of those 12 institutions is going to identify a high DFW. It's over 2 years. You're going to find a course that has really high DFW rates. Now, we all know what those classes are. You got a choice of them, right? They're all the ones that we all kind of raise our eyebrows about, or you talk quietly about and whisper. We're not really sure what's going on there. Well, there's a few pieces here. One of them is we're going to actually, across all of our institutions, all 17, we're going to build out a diagnostic so we can understand what is going on in those courses with high DFW rates. Because right now, every semester, your enrollment folks have to figure it out. There's not a methodology to diagnose why they're up or down. And often our own internal bias can be applied. So it's possible for us to diagnose a course and not ask about the demographics of the faculty, to not ask about the time of day it's being offered, or the modality, or the students, or what the topic is, or it's possible for us to just kind of make some assumptions. So we're gonna, as a group, we believe the field needs a methodology to diagnose DFW. So that's one piece of it. But the other part is these 12 institutions, you're gonna pick one course with high DFW rates. You're gonna select 50 students who've gotten a DFW in one of those courses, and you're gonna do a few things. You're going to offer to have them retake the course. We're gonna offer them a small grant or tuition assistance to retake it. But this time it's gonna be in the summer or fall. They're gonna retake the course. And we're gonna add supplemental instruction and near-peer coaching. And this comes from the Georgia State Accelerator model. This is what they figured out, and this is like the perfect example of how the UIA works. Because, you know, it's only because we're amongst trusted colleagues that early on in COVID, you know, we're always learning and sharing, and Tim Reddick raises his hand and says, hey, we're doing something that we think is pretty interesting. It's early, it's not ready for prime time yet, but here's what we're doing. And, you know, it's preliminary, right? Like only stuff you would share amongst your close friends. And we all said, no, that's really interesting. Let's keep watching. Let's see how we could maybe do something similar. And so now we're at this stage where we've got the resources, campuses are signed up, they pick their courses, and we're gonna figure out this first year is about implementation, because we've learned from the past. Don't run an RCT during an implementation, during the year of implementing, right? The first year, you gotta figure out how you do it. So this first year, what I want is each institution to give it your flavor. We know the basics of it, right? You're gonna find those students, you're gonna pick the courses, supplemental instruction, near-peer coaching, but I think each of you should probably take this as a challenge. What elements of how we treat athletes, or whatever in your head you're thinking of, what elements could be scaled? I know we've always told ourselves it's not possible for us to treat every student like that. But is that always true? Are there things that we could do? Is there a chance that you could take a nugget of an idea that works in one place and actually apply them? We think that this is actually where the groundbreaking work is gonna happen. And I hope each institution, beyond those 4 base components, that you are able to share with us at the end of year 1, here is actually our flavor. It's a little bit vanilla, but we also have some Oreos in here, and we've got some chocolate sauce on the top. There's a little caramel over here. And then over here, we got strawberry going on, right? But in general, we're gonna be practice sharing between us. And then in year 2, we're gonna actually measure with the data. So this is our chance. I think it's a one-shot deal where a large group of universities is actually going to see what elements of that student-centered approach can be scaled for low income, first generation, and students of color. And if we do this seriously and we get this right and we share it with the field, this can determine the future of how the standard exists, of what we think is the baseline for how students who get a DF or W, what they get supported with. And so I'm really excited about it because it's like the exact kind of work that we were built for, this kind of like complex systemic change, testing an idea that's a little far out there and frankly a little bit audacious, but perfectly in line for this moment. So I'm just so excited about today, and I really appreciate you all being here.